Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to share with you some of the things that are not so great about living in China. Now, I've been living here for 15 years, and this is my home. I love it here. But there are some things that can be annoying, frustrating, or just plain stupid sometimes. And I'm going to talk about some of those things today. Now, as y'all know, I usually say good things about China, and it's because I do believe China is good. Well, for me, it is. I love it here. This is my home, and I really do love living here. But I'm sharing this because I don't want people to have an unrealistic expectation. I want you to know that not everything here is perfect, and there are going to be some things that you really may dislike. You may even hate them, and we'll talk about it. So, really quick, one of the first things that is very frustrating and annoying is the internet, right? The great firewall. You are blocked from using everything. And the reason why I find this frustrating is not because I want to watch porn or some stupid shit like that. It's because it makes it really difficult to even stay in contact with your family and friends and loved ones back home in your home country. Because like Facebook is blocked, Instagram is blocked, all these different places where you could communicate back and forth with your loved ones, they're all blocked. And I know what you're thinking. Well, have them download something like WeChat. My parents both had WeChat, and after like 6 months of usage, they got blocked and locked out and banned from it for suspicious activity or something like that. And all they're doing is trying to talk to me. Like they're in their 60s and 70s. Like, what are they going to do that's so suspicious? They just want to talk to their son who lives here. And those things can be really frustrating, trying to stay in contact with your loved ones just because all those things are blocked. And I know what you're thinking, right? Get a VPN. I have a VPN. If I didn't, I wouldn't be able to upload this video on YouTube. But technically, having a VPN is illegal. Um, I don't personally know anybody who's got in trouble for it or went to jail for it or nothing like that. But I have heard stories and seen news articles of people actually getting fined and have to pay a fine and delete the things from their phone or this kind of stuff. And but I've never seen anyone go to jail for it, except for maybe someone who is a Chinese person who's selling these services to people. I've seen those people go to jail. But as far as a foreigner using the VPN, I've never heard of any bad stories about people actually, going to jail for nothing. But you may have to pay a fine if you get caught. So keep that in mind. Also, when it comes to the internet service or internet, you're going to have trouble accessing some features from America for your online banking and investments. Like my bank, I can't use my online banking. I can't even get open my bank website to check my account balance, even on a VPN. Because even if you're on a VPN, the bank will block those things. So it makes it really difficult if you have some bills to pay back home or need to access money at home or do some type of online banking at home. It's nearly impossible to do from here. It's very, very difficult to do. So keep that in mind as well. Now, another thing that I'll mention is in regards to banking, we'll be moving money. It's very, very difficult to move money out of China. If you need to send money home to America or wherever country you're from, it's not easy. You need a mountain of paperwork and also very limited on the amount you can send. So all these things can make things very complicated on top of an archaic banking process. Like if you want to send money home, you're going to be sitting in the bank for at least 4 hours, maybe 5 or 6 hours, maybe the whole freaking day sitting in the bank. And then when you finally get to the window to make the transaction, not just one person, but you have like 4 or 5 people, workers in the bank, chit-chatting with each other, trying to figure out how to help you because they have no idea what they're doing. And then you get a mountain of paperwork and you got to sign each paper, put your fingerprint on each paper. It's just so archaic, the banking system. It's like in the 1930s in America or something. And it's really troublesome. So another thing that you're going to find complicated is going to be trying to maintain any type of relationship, whether that be with foreign friends, local Chinese friends, girlfriends, and all this other stuff. It's going to be difficult to maintain those relationships simply because as a foreigner working here, you're going to have a contract, which is usually 1 or 2 years. And after that 1 or 2 years, you may have to move on. You may have to go to another city, another job, another province. No telling where you have to go. And the problem with this is all the friends that you've made, they come and go all the time. You always have new friends coming and going in and out of your life, in and out of your life, which makes it complicated, even if they're local people. because you have to move and go these places, and then your friends, they're not going to follow you. They're going to stay in their hometown, right? So it makes it really, really complicated to maintain a great, long-lasting friendship. And then on top of that, if you're dating someone, now this person who is in their hometown, they have to decide, do they want to pick up and follow you all over the country everywhere you go and leave their family behind? Because if you're in a small city, how are you going to find another job in that city? If there are no more jobs, now what do? You're going to rely on this person to take care of you? You can't do that, right? So having and maintaining relationships, friendships with foreigners, friendship with local Chinese, girlfriends, and other stuff, it can become quite complicated and difficult. So you really need to be comfortable with being yourself and being by yourself and being alone. If you're not comfortable with that, it may not be for you. Um, Another thing in regards to working would be, the communication at the jobs is really, really poor. I've been here for 15 years, and I've never had one single job who was able to communicate properly with anything when it comes to schedule changes or even knowing your schedule. Like all these things are super, super just miscommunicated and not handled or managed very well. Um, like just the other day, for example, my work told me my schedule changed, and they told me to come to work at 9 o'clock instead of 10:30. So I show up to work at 9 o'clock, and they said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "You told me to come at 9." And they said, "Oh, no, 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 that's wrong. Just go. You don't need to be here." So I go back home, and then as soon as I walk in the door home, phone rings. "Where are you at?" "I was just there. Y'all told me y'all didn't need me. Oh, we need you to come back." So you spend the whole morning running around wasting time doing this stupid stuff because they can't communicate. And this is normal. It happens every single job I've ever been at for the past 15 years. It's kind of things happen all the time. You don't even know when your holiday is. Like uh, the winter holiday is about to start, and I still don't even know the date yet. I have no idea when my holiday starts, but I know it's soon, but I don't know when. So you can't plan or prepare in advance. So these kind of things are really frustrating when it comes to dealing with the management style of in China. So you got to get used to that. Another thing is going to be food, right? If you don't like Chinese food, if you like your Western food, you're really not going to like it here. Number one, they do have Western food here, but it tastes nothing like it tastes back home. And it's not in every place you go, right? You're not going to find it everywhere. It's more difficult to find. And if you want to make those things at home, then the ingredients that you need to buy are also not easy to find. You might have to buy stuff from, online from this shop and then that shop and this shop, and then you wait a week for the stuff to show up. And now you don't even want the food anymore because you waited so long and you just lost your craving for it. And then on top of that, it's going to cost you 5 to 6 times more money to eat that than it would at home even. Let alone eat Chinese food. Is so cheap to eat Chinese food compared to eating Western food. You're going to spend a ton of money. It's not going to taste as good, and it's just not convenient. So you're going to struggle if you're not okay with Chinese food. Another thing, let me see. Talked about that. Another thing that's going to be annoying sometimes is that you stand out because there's not really a lot of foreigners in China. And if you're a white guy or a black guy or a brown guy, like you don't have an Asian face, you are really, really, really going to stand out. And everywhere you go, people are going to be looking at you. People are going to be watching you, and they're going to be pointing at you, saying, "Look, there's a foreigner. There's a foreigner. White girl." They say this all the time everywhere I go. Even where I live, I hear it. Even in the own elevator in my building, parents look at their kids, say, "Look, there's a foreigner behind you." Or the kids will say, "Look, mom, there's a foreigner." And I hear this about 10 to 15 times every single day for the past 15 years. And if you're not okay with that, you're not going to like it here because it's just the fact. There's no way around it. If you know Chinese and understand Chinese, you're going to hear them saying this. Every single time you leave your house, you're going to hear, "Look, there's a foreigner. There's a foreigner, foreigner, foreigner." You're going to hear it over and over and over all day long, every single day. I've heard it for the past 15 years. And it's okay with me. I don't mind, but sometimes it's a little bit annoying. Sometimes I'm like, come on, man, I've been here 15 years. Y'all don't have to keep, treat me like an outsider, right? Because you're never going to be an insider. It's just how it is. You got to get used to that and understand that that's just the way things are here. So then I guess the last thing, or another thing I'll mention, I guess will be crowds. If you're not used to big crowds, China can be crowded. The smaller cities, not so much. I don't think so. But if you're in a bigger city, the amount of crowds, the amount of people is just crazy compared to like where I used to live anyway. And that's why I left, that's why I left Shenzhen. When I was living in Shenzhen, it's like 20 million people in Shenzhen. And everywhere you go, there's just tons and tons of people. And not really my thing. I don't mind people, but I don't want to be just surrounded by people and just so crazy, right? That's why I've always lived in these smaller cities with like, 3 or 4 million people, 5 million people, instead of the 20, 30 million people mega cities. So if you don't like crowds, I would suggest either choosing like a tier 2 or tier 3 city, or not coming. If you're okay with the crowds, then fine, it won't bother you. It won't bother you at all. And then I guess the last thing that I'll talk about or touch on will be racism, right? It's open. It's basically open here. Racism is like they know, like if you are a black person or a brown person, it's not going to be as easy for you to get the job that I can get. And even if you could get the job, they're going to pay you less money. That's just how it is. Like I know lots of black guys here, and they struggle to get paid a decent salary, um, or even find a job. Even sometimes it's difficult for them to do that. And not just black people or brown people, but even other Asians. I hear a lot of racism, especially towards Japanese people. I hear it every day at school. Even I hear like teachers saying bad things about Japanese people to the kids at school, and I hear kids saying bad things about Japanese people, and they just kind of, it's all based on the history, things that happened, a long time ago, and the atrocities that Japan had committed here in China. But people still hold a grudge over that, and people that's never even met a single Japanese person, never been to Japan, and they still have this severe racism and hatred towards those people. And I just don't get it. I don't get it because there's, but I can't say. I mean, of course, they did bad things to people here in China, but that was even before your grandparents were alive. Probably your grandparents' parents or your grandparents' grandparents experienced those things. Not your parents, not your grandparents, definitely not you. And so why hate somebody who's dead and gone, and those things are over in the past, right? But you experience it all the time on a regular basis, and it can be kind of annoying if you don't really want to hear about those things, or if you don't feel the same way. Because me, I'm a person, like, I don't really care uh, where somebody's from or what they look like. It doesn't matter to me. I'm okay with anybody as long as they're a good person. I grew up in the ghetto where I was surrounded by poor people, whether they were white, black, Mexican, or something else. I was just, I don't really care where people come from. So um, that's just me. But some people do care, and you'll see that in China, and you'll experience that in China. But that being said, like I said, I've been here for 15 years. This is my home. I love it here, and the good things outweigh the bad by far. And everywhere you go in the world, there's going to be some bad things. America has a lot of bad shit going on, and I've lived in Philippines. There's bad things over there. I've been I've traveled to 23 different countries, and every country I've been to has bad things, and they have good things. And it just matters to, like, is to you as a person, are you willing to accept these things in your life? If you are, then great, you're not going to have a problem. And if you can't accept it, then you're not going to have a good time, and you might want to consider something else. And that's just the way it is. No matter where you are, where you're from, or where you go, everything, you got to take the good with the bad. And can you accept it? That's up to you to decide, not me. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this little talk, and I'll see y'all on the next video.